It's time for the ships. All right, we've already done our monthly report. All the good stuff that's been going on behind the scenes at CIG, including our favorite core gameplay update, which will be on the main channel as well. We just went over that, so check it out if you haven't already on Space Tomato 2. But we are now on to ships, and we've got a lot to go over here. So we already have 21 ships that we know about from the last few monthly reports that we have been tracking the progress of. Let's go ahead and update some of these right now before we get started. The Starlancer TAC has been released, and I guess we'll just move all the released to the bottom. And actually, I should probably just delete these. Asgard released. I'm calling this a variant. I'm gonna stick with it. It's basically a variant. Yes, released last update. Released May 2025. Greycat MTC, new model, also released. Released May of 2025. Guardian MX, also released May 2025. All the rest of this is stuff we don't know about. Okay, as usual, May was extremely busy. May was extremely busy for the vehicle content teams as they supported new releases, progressed with upcoming vehicles, and kicked off projects for the next year or so. They have never been more productive when it comes to ships. They used to release a bunch of concepts. Now they're just releasing ships and vehicles. In Europe, 4 unannounced ships progressed. Count them, 4. And do we have 4 on here? We do! So all 4 of these unannounced ships progressed. First one officially entered production. Okay. Well, that's weird. Because all of the unannounced ships we know about were already in production. This one passed gray box. This one entered full production in April. This one is at gray box review. This one at white box review. So that means we have a new unannounced ship, which we're going to assume is a new model. Don't have a role for it. It officially entered production. Does that make it concept? I'm going to call it white box. I think they would have called that concept. Don't know when this would release. I would say have to as well. Officially entered production May of 2025. Okay. So the second vehicle progressed towards its upcoming white box review gate. Okay, so something progressed towards white box review. This one was progressing towards gray box. This one hit white box review in April. And this is a variant, and it passed gray box review in March, progressing towards full production in April. This could be the second one that they're saying met its white box review. Progressing towards white box review in May. This is part of the problem with tracking them like this, is that at some point I will get something wrong on one of the items and it'll just snowball into confusion. But we're gonna keep this update as a last update here. First mention was, I believe, in April. And our confidence on this one is also low because we don't know if it's the same unannounced ship that they were talking about back then. The third continued down the production pipeline with the artists currently awaiting feedback from the LOD 0 review. Okay. So LOD 0, which means it's pretty far along. This variant did pass its gray box in March, so it could be that. This one was approaching gray box in March. See, now this could be in the final art section. I might actually need to add LOD 0. White box, LOD 0, gray box. No, LOD 0 is part of the gray box, so I should have had this already in the gray box. Let's keep it there. I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is the same ship. It might not be, so take this with a grain of salt. So let's say LOD 0 in May. Fourth ship. The fourth received a considerable attention during its white box phase, particularly around the cockpit entry requirements, as it will receive entirely new enter and exit animations, something rarely done to this level. Well, what the heck could that be? Received considerable attention during its white box phase. They do not tell us where it actually is in its phase. Could it be this one? I feel like they're kind of trying to say that it was in white box in May. Doesn't really correlate though with any of these. It's confusing the way they've said this. It received considerable attention during its white box phase. But we don't know if that was already over or if it's still in white box. I could see it being the Railen, yeah. I would be kind of surprised to hear that they're working on the Railen. Yeah, no, this wouldn't be the Railen because this is an unannounced ship. So something else. Considerable attention during its white box phase. Man, that's hard, guys. I guess we can just assume it's this one. I mean, more low confidence guesses at this point. Considerable attention to white box in May 2025. All right, for already announced ships, the Anvil Paladin progressed through gray box, benefiting from the recent work on the Asgard to help speed up its creation. Good to know. That's easy enough to do. We know what the Paladin is. It was in the white box last we saw. In Q1 of 2020, in December of 2024, the last update we got, putting it in the white box. So they've moved it on to gray box now. I'm still thinking it's, you know what? I'm kind of thinking this is more an end of year this year kind of ship. I'm going to switch this to Q4 2025 from Asgard in gray box phase in May 5. Confidence on this one is very high for obvious reasons. They literally tell us the name. And the most recent update is May. Next up is the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. It's hard not to be floored by this ship when you look at the sheer amount of things it can do in this game. Okay, see, now look. Continued its long and extensive white box phase. They themselves said the sheer scale and complexity of the ship means that this is a longer than normal phase. Let's just take another opportunity to take a hefty little look at the Pioneer and the kind of things they are proposing for it. So the Pioneer is a base building ship. Here's the layout of it.
The updated interior of the Pioneer. So at the back of the ship, we have the classic bridge, looks out over the expanse of the ship. And then top and bottom of that in this image, we have the escape pod rooms. And then leading off those is the access to the manned turrets that remain. Then going downstairs, we have the cargo area at the top. Doesn't look like a lot. That's 1,000 SEU of cargo now in that space.
God. Just having that much cargo is fantastic.
Next to that is the fabrication control room. This is where you'll be fabricating larger vehicles and ships, as well as smaller fabrication machines next door for. You don't want to use this to build a small FPS weapon. It's a bit overkill, so we have that on board as well. In the center of the ship, we have a small fabrication hangar with roof and ramp egress. So if you're building a small ship on board, so things like a Nomad, you can build on board here. You'll be able to fly out the roof of the...
It's like, take that into account. You can literally build spaceships with this spaceship.
Fabrication hangar. And then we have the existing small landing pad that transitions from outside the ship to inside the ship. So cargo you can load via new entrance that Ben's going to talk about in a second. But you can still retain the ability to land a ship on top of this ship, move it inside your ship, all those things. Engineering at the rear, this is now capital components all the way around. It was a weird mix of size 3s before. It's now just all capital everything. Then we have the habitation, mess hall, medical area between the hangar and engineering. And then at the front, we have 4 extra large drones in the drone room.
So base building, crafting, cargo hauling, vehicle hauling. This thing can also mine. It can do mining from the bottom of the ship itself. It's got defense turrets. It can build bases like... Ugh. And I mean, yeah, it's like a base on its own.
Or command deck, bridge, whatever you want to call it. It gives kind of really nice views out.
Sorry guys, as I mentioned, my computer can't really run this kind of stuff right now. Thanks to chat though, we're gonna make sure that's remedied pretty quickly. Thank you guys.
Ship. And right up front, you've got all the consoles required that you need to kind of control the ship, as well as the kind of additional remote turret access consoles. And then at the rear, we have the main kind of navigation components and some small engineering consoles. And kind of flanking either side, we've got these 2 corridors, and they lead out to the man turrets that kind of sit above the bridge. And they also have all the escape pods needed for all the bridge crew. Like I say, we want this to kind of be a home away from home. So we have a very large, comfortable habitation area. Each of the crew members, they get their own individual crew pod. And one of the nice things about this is these actually open up and they allow kind of each crew member to kind of decide like how much privacy they actually want.
Jesus, that just reminds me of the prison from Andor.
This is the crafting area. We've got the 4 kind of crafting machines. And these are right next to the cargo bay, the internal cargo bay. And as John says, this holds up to 1,000 SEU of cargo, so it's pretty sizable. To make it a little bit easier, it's got its own dedicated cargo lift at the back that again, just simplifies that kind of getting cargo in and out of the vehicle. Down at the front, we have the drone room. Now these will be 4 extra large drones, so they'll be able to craft our largest structures in game. They exit the ship out through the roof, and they're all controlled by the construction console in this area. And then finally, we're just going to take a quick look at the crafting area on the ship. So you can see here we've got these blast shields down that kind of protect the crew in this area from what's going on inside. And then as these open up, we just finished making a storm. And as we see, there's a ramp that leads out, so you can drive any ground vehicles straight out the front. Between all the landing gear, and you get this really nice kind of like sense of scale as you're driving underneath out the front of the ship.
Just straight up making vehicles, no biggie. Yeah, you could get this if you wanted to have all the best stuff, but this is just going to be a huge target on your back. Like, if I were a pirate, I'd be going after pioneers. There's going to be so much to steal from this, or you could just take it and use it yourself. The CNOU ships are cool. They said back in the day when they were first working on making these ships, one of the things they really wanted to do was make sure they look like space stations. The large CNOU ships are supposed to look like space stations on their own. So it's cool to see that they're hitting that pretty well. And even just from how they're talking about it, there's so much going on here. The design of it is so much different than they're usually doing that it seems they have to take some additional considerations. I don't have any of the old concepts. They had some really cool concepts that they used to show of the Pioneer. But yeah, this is a base building ship. Honestly, one of the cornerstones of the game. I think it's going to be a while before we see it, but it is working its slow way through the white box phase. And let me see, where did we have that? Pioneer white box. I have it expected to release at the end of next year. The ship thick, extra long white box process. Still continuing in May 2025. Last update was May 2025. Confidence is high. First mention October 21st or 2017. Okay, continuing from the Pioneer. After a short pause to help close out Invictus ships, work resumed on the Ironclad with a focus on blocking out every room with the appropriate Drake kits. Let's hear one out for like the most beloved ship right now. Now that the Perseus and Idris are in the game. Got an old concept? I missed that.
It's part 2 of our Invictus Launch Week coverage as we look beyond the event to the new offering being unveiled at this year's Drake DefenseCon, the far superior brand excluded from the usual Invictus festivities. Let's force John Crew to talk about it now.
So in the Star Citizen universe, we have a lot of cargo ships, but they're sort of concentrated around the lower end of cargo hauling, sort of the low hundreds SEU and below, and the very high end where there's multi-thousands. There's a mix of cargo ships which have their cargo on the inside, ones on the outside like the Hull series, to bring something different where it sort of sits right in the middle. It's a nice progression step and facilitates both internal and external loading of cargo, which is where the Drake Ironclad comes in.
Oh, the other RAM, it was like 3,600, 48 gigabytes, I believe. That's back in California, though. Because I'm dumb. Here we are.
So the Drake Ironclad is the kind of next step up for Drake cargo ships. It kind of
fatter
builds
pillar.
on what the Caterpillar brings, but in a much larger form.
The Drake Ironclad is a 6-person multi-crew armored freighter. A
6-person, folks. Don't be mad if it's not the best for solo run. Although you can definitely still solo run a ship like this. Won't be super efficient. I'll turn down YouTube
large
quality.
proportion of the ship is dedicated to the
Probably.
cargo bay at the front of it, which has both a front ramp for loading and unloading cargo and
Sun
small
auto.
vehicles on the ground, as well as a retractable roof for doing that in space with EVA as well.
Little tight entrances to cargo ships doesn't necessarily lend itself to when you're out in deep space and you're trying to quickly move some cargo from one person's ship into your ship. Really, you want as much kind of access to be able to do that as you possibly can. So by having this kind of much larger opening on top of the ship, it allows us to kind of bring cargo in much easier.
So its role being a sort of armored freighter comes from 2 distinct ways. One, the cargo itself is more protected. It's within the cargo bay that has the armored roof section that covers it. So unlike, say, a Hull C where the cargo's on the outside, you can load it from the outside but then protect it with the Ironclad.
That is a pretty nice benefit. And that's kind of like earlier when I was talking about how I love choice and consequence and how they're going to like stick it to you if you choose the wrong ship for sorts of things. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I want to be in a situation where I'm going to haul cargo and think to myself, man, I'm going to be in a pretty dangerous situation. I want in and out fast in space. Let's take an Ironclad because it has that extra opening, as opposed to a Galaxy that has a closed cargo bay. Or let's take the Ironclad because we're going to be flying through Pyro. We'll probably get attacked, and the Hull C is going to be easy to shoot off the cargo. But then you're like, okay, but the Ironclad doesn't have VTOL, so we're going to a planet. Maybe we don't want something like that, and we prefer something with some VTOL thrusters. And like that thought process, decision making is kind of why I'm into Star Citizen. Hopefully they stick to it.
Less legal opportunities for perhaps taking other people's cargo ships in space and on the ground. At the time of recording, we're also exploring a more military-themed variant of the Ironclad. It doesn't have a name yet, so we'll just call it the Drake
Ironclad Assault.
Compared to the base ship,
That is
this
what
has
they called it.
been developed to support ground assault operations. It has additional turrets covering the upper and lower surfaces to provide more fire support. And the front section of the cargo area has been redesigned to enable our largest vehicles in game to be deployed from it, such as the tank. In addition, the cargo bay has been reduced in size to facilitate a onboard repair facility. So for those of you who want to have a journey in the cargo profession, traditionally you would start out in something, say like a Hull A. The next step up from there really is sort of into Drake Caterpillar territory. So you're doing roughly a 8 to 10 times jump in cargo capacity. From there, the Ironclad sits nicely between those smaller ships and the much larger bulk carriers such as the Hull C, and then ultimately you get to things like the Hull D, E, and Kraken at the end of the cargo career.
You said Kraken.
He said Kraken.
Yes,
Was that a hint at anything?
it's not a hint at anything, but making the Ironclad makes the Kraken easier.
So building out the Ironclad does, of course, kind of help us with building out the Kraken. I think increasing...
All right, let me correct myself real quick because somebody did mention that it might have VTOL. Let us confirm. Secure storage garage, cargo bay command, thrusters, main thruster, retro, fixed maneuvering. I'm not seeing anything about VTOL. But that's the Ironclad. Interesting ship. I think people are going to be real into this one. I mean, people already are real into this, but cargo hauling's fun. Industrial ships look cool. And Drake is Drake. So this will be a popular one, a big seller. I think it is due for the end of this year. And I think it is going to be an absolute massive moneymaker for them. This is going to be, even with engineering and multi-crew complications coming online, I just think that the Ironclad is another one of those ships people see as being their home base out in space. So what did they say about it? Focus is blocking out every room with appropriate Drake kits. Okay. Just blocking out rooms. Oh boy, the people love the ship, but no, it's not coming for Invictus. Yeah, this basically confirms it's not coming in Invictus, just in case anybody still was hoping for that one. Most recent update, May of 2025. Just blocking out rooms. Confidence is high. Continuing on with the Garden MX Live, the North American teams moved on to closing out an upcoming variant for its impending release, with the ship successfully passing its final review. An upcoming variant final review, white box, release imminent, possible RSI leak ship. Okay, this is probably it right here. So we saw this update in April 2025. We're seeing it updated here in May of 2025. For some reason I put expected release June of 26. I think I meant June of 2025. So I wasn't actually that far off, folks. What do you think? You think this is the Prowler? Ironclad has integrated VTOL thrusters underneath. Okay, cool. So it does have VTOL. So yeah, impending release. Ship successfully passed final review. We've got this already listed as release imminent. Passed final review. Did they say it's... I wonder, is this... I don't think this is the variant of a popular ship they were talking about. No, that's this one right here. So this might be an unpopular ship. Let's say this is likely the Asperia Prowler variant. Additionally, another unannounced vehicle passed its white box review following minor adjustments to one of its key mechanics. Okay, another unannounced ship passed its white box review. This progressed towards white box review in May. So this must be another unannounced ship. Refining ship. Maybe a refining ship. It is unannounced, so it wouldn't be the Legionnaire. And what did they say? Passed its white box review? Yeah, passed its white box review. So we're going to say it's in gray box now. First mention is going to be May of 2025. Medium confidence. Last update's May of 2025. Expected release, honestly, I'm thinking Q3 if it's passing its white box review, but we don't know anything about it, really. I'll leave that blank for now. Finally, the Apollo Medivac and Triage passed their gray box reviews. Let's go, Apollo. Woo! RSI Apollo moving up the track. Passed gray box, right? Passed their gray box reviews with a focus on ensuring each med bed module tier is distinct without being disruptively different to use. Hopefully they give us an update on the bed soon. All right, so along with a medical bed update, or medical bed detailed overlook or something. Last update we got was December 2024. Let's update this to June, I guess, technically. Medium level confidence. I'm not convinced it's going to release this year. I'm going to make this Q1 of 26 to save myself the pain and you. And it should be in Lot 0 now. All right, and finally, the RSI Perseus continued through Graybox, ready for its gate review early this month. So it's still in Graybox, as we have. Expected release November. I'm thinking November. And I feel like I got high confidence on that one. And for those who don't remember the Perseus, pretty cool ship. Little patrol boat, battleship, sort of support for larger ships, but it's got some big guns on it that are going to do good damage to medium and larger craft. So I'm interested in seeing how this one plays out. Feels like it'll be a better group ship for mercenary missions than something like a Polaris or Nidris, which are a little bit bigger. But yeah, a solid ship update, guys. We got to hear about the Ironclad, the Paladin, the Apollo, the Perseus, the Pioneer, as well as 5 different unannounced ships, 6 I think, and a new variant that's being worked on. Solid amount of updates this month. Of course, a couple of ships got released. Overall, their ship pipeline is killing it right now. Hopefully, we see the features also follow suit.